I stood at the kitchen sink washing dishes. The water was warm on my hands. Then I heard her voice behind me. "You contribute nothing to this family." My heart stopped. I turned around slowly. My daughter-in-law stood there with crossed arms. Her eyes were ice cold. "Nothing," she repeated louder. My son looked down at the floor. He said absolutely nothing. I felt something break inside my chest, but I stayed completely quiet, because I had a secret nobody would ever believe. The same company she worked for? I saved it. 3 years ago, I gave them $50,000, anonymous donation, no name attached, her promotion, her career, her entire future. I made it possible, and she just called me worthless. My name is Eleanor. I'm 62 years old now. I live in a small, quiet town. Most people here know my face. I worked as a school secretary. For 35 years, I worked there. I saw children grow up. I watched families come and go. I loved that job deeply. I retired 3 years ago, not because I wanted to, but because my body was tired. My knees ached constantly. My back hurt every morning. It was time to stop. My husband died 5 years back. His name was Robert. We were married for 33 years. Cancer took him so fast, 6 months from diagnosis to death. Those months were incredibly hard. I watched him fade away slowly. Every day he got weaker. Every day I got stronger. I had to be strong. Someone had to be. But when he died, I broke. I cried for weeks. I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't sleep at night. The house felt so empty, so quiet, so wrong. But I kept moving forward. I had my son Thomas. He's my only child. My miracle baby, actually. The doctor said I couldn't have children, but Thomas came anyway. He was born early and small, but he was perfect. I raised him alone after his father passed. Well, not completely alone. I had Patricia, my neighbor. She was there every single day, bringing me food, sitting with me, letting me cry. She saved me, honestly. Thomas met a woman named Victoria 2 years ago. He brought her home for dinner. She was beautiful and very smart. Long, dark hair and bright eyes. She worked in marketing for startups. She talked about campaigns and strategies. She was confident and impressive. Thomas looked at her like she was magic. I was happy for him. I really was. They got married 1 year later. Small wedding in a garden. Only 50 people came. It was simple and sweet. Victoria wore a white dress. Thomas cried when he saw her. I cried too. I thought this was it. My son found his person. At first, everything seemed perfectly fine. Victoria smiled at me often. She hugged me at family dinners. She even called me Mom. She asked about my day. She laughed at my stories. She seemed to care. But slowly, things started changing. It was small things at first. Her smiles became thinner and forced. Her hugs felt stiff and distant. She stopped asking me questions. She stopped calling me completely. When I called her, she was busy. Always busy. I told myself it was normal. Marriage changes people sometimes. They need their own space. They build their own world. I tried very hard to understand. I didn't want to be the mother-in-law who interfered. I didn't want to be a problem. So I stepped back. I gave them space. I waited for them to reach out. 6 months ago, Thomas called me late at night. His voice sounded strange. "Mom, can we talk?" "Of course, sweetheart," I said. "Can you come over tomorrow?" Yes, absolutely. I went the next day. Thomas and Victoria were sitting together. Victoria looked uncomfortable. Thomas looked stressed. "Mom, we need to ask you something," he said. "What is it?" I asked. He took a deep breath. "Can you move in with us?" I was honestly surprised. I didn't expect that at all. "Why, sweetheart?" I asked him. Thomas looked at Victoria. She didn't say anything. "We need help with the mortgage," he said. His voice sounded so quiet. "Victoria's company is restructuring. Her job isn't stable right now, and we're struggling a bit financially. I looked at Victoria. She was staring at her hands. She wouldn't look at me. I didn't even hesitate once. "Of course I will," I said. Thomas looked relieved. "Thank you, Mom," he said. Victoria still said nothing. I should have noticed that. I should have paid attention. But I was too focused on helping. I sold my small house quickly. It was the house Robert and I bought together. The house where we raised Thomas. The house where Robert died. Selling it hurt deeply, but I told myself it was okay. Thomas needed me. That was more important. I moved into their spare bedroom. It was tiny, with just basics, a bed, a dresser, and a small closet. The window faced the backyard. I could see the garden from there. It was fine for me. I didn't need much space. At first, Victoria seemed okay with it. She smiled when I first arrived. She helped me unpack my things. She even made dinner that night. "Welcome, Mom," she said, but her voice sounded hollow. Within 1 week, everything shifted. Victoria started making small, cutting comments. "Eleanor, you left a cup in the sink. I apologized immediately. Eleanor, you're using too much electricity. I turned off more lights. Eleanor, can you be quieter in the morning?" I tiptoed around the house. Every day there was something new, something I did wrong, something that annoyed her. I apologized every single time. I tried to become invisible. I stayed in my room mostly. I only came out when necessary. I cooked dinner almost every night. Victoria never thanked me. She just ate silently. Sometimes she didn't eat at all. I cleaned the entire house daily. I vacuumed and dusted everything. Victoria would inspect after me. She'd point out spots I missed. I paid half of the mortgage every month from my retirement savings. Nobody thanked me for that either. But nothing I did was enough. One evening, I was folding laundry in the living room. Victoria walked in from work. She looked at the clothes on the couch. "You folded Thomas's shirts wrong," she said. Her voice was sharp as glass. I looked at the shirts. They looked fine to me. "I'm sorry," I said very softly. "How should I fold them?" She picked one up roughly. "Like this," she said. She refolded it quickly. It looked exactly the same. "You always do things wrong," she added. Then she just walked away. I stood there completely frozen. My hands were shaking badly. I felt something heavy in my chest, like a weight pressing down. I wanted to cry, but I held it in. I didn't want Thomas to hear. I finished folding the laundry Victoria's way, even though I couldn't see the difference. A few nights later, something worse happened. I cooked spaghetti for dinner. It was Thomas's favorite meal. I spent an hour making the sauce from scratch. Victoria came to the table. She looked at her plate. "I don't eat pasta," she said. "Oh, I didn't know that," I said. "What can I make you?" She looked at me coldly. "Nothing. I'm not hungry anymore." She stood up and left. Thomas ate quietly. He didn't say anything. After dinner, I asked him gently, "Thomas, does Victoria not like my cooking?" He sighed. "She's just picky, Mom." Don't take it personally. But it felt personal. It felt very personal. A few weeks later, I overheard them talking. I was in my tiny room reading. Their bedroom door was open down the hall. "Your mom is driving me crazy," Victoria said. Her voice was loud and angry. I could hear every word. "She's always here everywhere." "She lives here, Victoria," Thomas replied calmly. "Exactly," Victoria snapped back. "She's always in the way." "I can't relax in my own home." "She's trying her best," Thomas said. "Her best isn't good enough." I felt my throat tighten hard. I wanted to cry so badly, but I held it all in. I pressed my hand over my mouth. I didn't make a sound. I stayed in my room the rest of the night. I didn't come out for dinner. I heard them eating without me. Thomas knocked on my door later. "Mom, are you okay?" I opened the door slightly. "I'm fine," I lied. "Just tired tonight. Do you want to talk?" "No, sweetheart. I'm just going to sleep early." He nodded slowly. "Okay, Mom. Good night." He left. I closed the door, I sat on my bed, and I cried silently into my pillow. The next morning, I made breakfast as usual, eggs toast and fresh coffee. I set the table nicely. I even put out a small vase with flowers. Victoria came downstairs in her robe. She looked at the table. Her face showed nothing. "I don't eat eggs," she said coldly. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I said quickly. "What would you like instead? Yogurt? Fruit?" She rolled her eyes dramatically. "Nothing you make." She grabbed her purse off the counter. She walked toward the door. "Victoria, wait," I said. She stopped but didn't turn around. "Did I do something wrong?" She turned slowly. Her face was angry. "You exist," she said. "That's what you did wrong." Then she left. The door slammed behind her. I stood there in complete shock. Thomas came down a few minutes later. He saw the untouched food. "Did Victoria eat?" he asked. "She wasn't hungry," I said quietly. He nodded and sat down. He ate quickly without talking. Then he left for work too. I sat alone at the table. The eggs were getting cold. The coffee was getting bitter. I wasn't hungry anymore either. I threw everything away. That afternoon, my neighbor Patricia stopped by. She knocked on the door 3 times. I opened it slowly. "Eleanor, you look so tired," she said immediately. Her face showed concern. "I'm fine, really," I replied, but my voice cracked. She pushed past me gently. "No, you're not." We sat in the kitchen. She made us tea. "What's going on?" she asked gently. I told her everything then, about Victoria's comments every day, about how small I felt constantly, about the constant tension in the house, about overhearing them arguing about me. Patricia listened so carefully. She held my hand across the table. Then S. "You deserve so much better," she said. "I know," I whispered back, "but Thomas loves her. I don't want to ruin that. That doesn't mean she can treat you like this. You're not a servant, Eleanor. You're his mother. You deserve respect." Patricia's words stayed with me. They echoed in my head all night, but I still didn't know what to do. I felt trapped. This was their house now. I had nowhere else to go. I had no house anymore. I couldn't afford rent on my retirement income. I was stuck. A week later, something strange happened. Victoria came home extremely excited. She burst through the door. She was almost glowing with joy. "I got promoted," she announced loudly. Thomas jumped up from the couch. "That's amazing," he said. He hugged her tight. She was laughing. I was in the kitchen. I came to the doorway. "Congratulations, Victoria," I said sincerely. I really was happy for her, but she didn't even look at me. She kept talking to Thomas excitedly. "They loved my presentation today," she said. "They said I'm a perfect fit for senior management. I'm getting a $20,000 raise." "I'm so proud of you," Thomas said. He kissed her forehead. I quietly went back to the kitchen. I felt invisible again, but something felt strange to me. Victoria worked at a marketing firm, a firm called Bright Horizon Group. I knew that name very well, better than anyone else in this house, because I had a connection to it, a deep connection, a connection nobody knew about. Let me go back a little. Before my husband Robert died, we saved money. A lot of money, actually. We were careful with every dollar. We never went on expensive vacations. We never bought fancy cars. We lived very simply, always. We ate at home most nights. We fixed things instead of replacing them. We saved and saved and saved. Robert wanted to make sure I was okay. He knew he was dying, so he worked extra hours when he could. He put everything into savings. When he passed, he left me everything. The house, the savings, the life insurance. Altogether, it was almost $400,000. I didn't need it all. I didn't want it all, honestly. It felt wrong to have so much, when so many people had so little. So I started donating quietly, always anonymously. I didn't want recognition. I didn't want thank you letters. I just wanted to help. I gave to schools in poor neighborhoods. I gave to hospitals for cancer research, to food banks, to women's shelters, to small businesses struggling to survive, and to a few startup companies that needed funding. One of them was Bright Horizon Group. 3 years ago, they were struggling badly. I read about them in the local business section. They were a small marketing firm, just 5 employees. They had good ideas, they had passion, but they needed funding desperately. They were about to close down. I called my lawyer, Daniel. "I want to donate to this company," I said. "How much?" he asked. $50,000. He was quiet for a moment. "That's a significant amount, Eleanor." "I know," I said, "but I think they can do good things." "Do you want your name attached?" "No," I said firmly. "Make it completely anonymous." "I don't want them to know." So Daniel handled everything. The money was donated, no name attached to it, just a silent gift. The company survived because of it. They used the money to hire more people, to expand their services, to grow slowly but steadily. Within 2 years, they had 20 employees. They were successful, they were thriving, and Victoria got a job there 1 year ago. She didn't know this. Nobody knew it. Thomas didn't know. Patricia didn't even know. But I did. I knew everything. That night, I couldn't sleep at all. I kept thinking about it over and over. Victoria worked at a company I helped save. She got promoted at a company I funded. She was making more money because I gave mine away, and she treated me like I was worthless, like I contributed nothing. It felt strange and almost funny, but also incredibly sad. The irony was so heavy. The next morning, Victoria was at the table early. She was on her phone, smiling at the screen, texting someone rapidly. Her thumbs moved fast. I poured myself coffee quietly. "Good morning," I said softly. She didn't respond at all. She didn't even look up. I sat down across from her. I sipped my coffee slowly. She glanced at me finally. "Do you have to sit here?" she asked. Her tone was ice cold. "I'm just having coffee," I said. "Well, you're making me uncomfortable." I felt my chest tighten hard, but I didn't move this time. I stayed right there. For the first time, I stayed. I didn't apologize. I didn't leave. I just sat there. She looked annoyed, but she didn't say anything else. She got up and left the room. I sat there alone. My hands were shaking, but I felt something different, something like strength. Later that day, Patricia called me. "Eleanor, I have an idea," she said. Her voice was serious. "What is it?" I asked. "Confront her about everything. Tell her how you feel." "I can't do that," I said quickly. "Why not?" "Because Thomas needs to see the truth, Eleanor. He needs to see what she's doing to you. But what if he takes her side?" "Then at least you'll know," Patricia said. "At least you won't be suffering in silence." Her words scared me, but they also felt right. Maybe it was time. Maybe I needed to speak up. That evening, I decided to try. Victoria came home late again. She was in a good mood, surprisingly. Laughing on the phone loudly, she walked past me without a word. I followed her into the kitchen. My heart was pounding hard. "Victoria," I said clearly. She turned around slowly. "What?" she asked. Her voice was sharp. "Can we talk, please?" "About what?" "About how you've been treating me." She actually laughed out loud. A cold, cruel laugh. "Oh, here we go," she said. "I'm serious, Victoria," I said. My voice was shaking but firm. "You've been rude to me constantly. You've made me feel invisible. You've made me feel worthless." She crossed her arms tightly. "Maybe because you are invisible," she said. Her words cut so deep, deeper than anything before. "I help with everything," I said. "I cook, I clean, I pay half the mortgage." "And," she said coldly, "you're supposed to do that. You live here for free. You owe us." "I'm not living here for free," I said. "I pay half the mortgage every month." "From my retirement savings." She rolled her eyes. "That's the least you can do. You contribute nothing else." I felt tears coming, but I held them back hard. "I don't owe you anything," I said quietly. She stepped closer to me. Her face was angry now. "Yes, you do," she hissed. "You're a burden on this family. You contribute nothing. You're just taking up space." Then she walked away. Just like that. She left me standing there. I stood there alone in the kitchen. My whole body was shaking violently. I wanted to scream at her. I wanted to cry. I wanted to run away. But I did none of those things. I went to my room slowly. I closed the door. I sat on my bed, and I made a decision. A decision I should have made weeks ago. The next morning, I called someone. His name is Daniel. He's a lawyer and old friend. He helped me set up my anonymous donations years ago. He handled everything legally. "Daniel, I need a favor," I said. "Of course, Eleanor," he replied kindly. "Anything. I need proof of my donation to Bright Horizon Group." There was silence. "May I ask why?" "It's personal, Daniel. Very personal." He didn't push me further. "I'll send it by tomorrow morning." "Thank you so much," I said. "You're welcome, Eleanor." "Is everything okay?" "It will be," I said. "Soon." That night, Victoria was in the living room. Thomas was beside her on the couch. They were watching TV together. They looked happy. I walked in quietly. "Thomas, can I talk to you?" I asked. He looked up at me. "Sure, Mom." Victoria rolled her eyes dramatically. I saw it. Thomas saw it too. But he didn't say anything. I ignored her completely this time. "In private, please," I added. He stood up slowly. We went to the kitchen together. "What's going on, Mom?" he asked. He sounded tired. "I need you to listen to me, Thomas," I said. "I am listening." "Victoria has been treating me badly." "Very badly," he sighed heavily. "Here we go again," his face said. "Mom, you two just need to get along better." "It's not that simple, Thomas," I said. "She's told me I'm worthless multiple times. She said I contribute nothing. She told me I'm a burden." Thomas looked uncomfortable. He shifted his weight. "She's stressed, Mom," he said. "The promotion was a lot of pressure. She didn't mean those things." "Yes, she did," I said firmly. "She meant every word." He looked at me sadly. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to see the truth. I want you to stand up for me. I'm your mother, Thomas." He was quiet for a long moment. "I'll talk to her," he said finally, but his voice had no strength. I knew he wouldn't. I could see it in his eyes. He didn't want to believe me, or maybe he just didn't want to deal with it. Either way, I was alone. The next day, Daniel sent the documents. I printed them out carefully at the library. I stared at them for a long time. $50,000, donated anonymously to Bright Horizon Group. 3 years ago, on March 15th. Processed through Daniel's law firm, my signature at the bottom. Everything was documented perfectly. It was all there, clear as day, official and undeniable. I folded the papers carefully. I put them in my bag, and I waited for the right moment. That evening, Victoria came home late again. She was on the phone as usual, laughing loudly about something, bragging to whoever was listening. "Yeah, they said I'm the best hire they've ever made. I'm basically running the whole department now." She walked into the kitchen, still talking. I was sitting at the table waiting. She saw me. Her smile faded instantly. "Waiting for you," I said calmly. She looked confused and annoyed. "Why?" "Because we need to talk." She sighed loudly and dramatically. "Not this again." "Yes, this again," I said. Just then, Thomas walked in. "What's going on?" he asked. "Your mother wants to talk," Victoria said mockingly. I stood up slowly and deliberately. I pulled out the papers from my bag. I placed them on the table carefully. "What's this?" Thomas asked. He looked confused. "Read it," I said. My voice was steady now. He picked up the papers. His eyes scanned the first page. Then the second page. Victoria looked annoyed still. "What is that?" she asked impatiently. Thomas's face went completely pale. His hands started shaking. "Mom, is this real?" "Yes," I said. Every word of it. Victoria grabbed the papers from his hands. She read them quickly. Her expression changed dramatically, from annoyance to confusion, from confusion to disbelief, from disbelief to complete shock. Her mouth opened slightly. You donated to my company? Yes, I said calmly. 3 years ago. Before you even worked there. Before you even knew it existed. She stared at me. Her eyes were wide. That's impossible. It's not impossible, I said. It's documented right there. Daniel, my lawyer, can confirm everything. The bank records are all there. Thomas looked at me with new eyes. Mom, you gave them $50,000? Yes. Why? Because they needed help, I said simply. Because they were about to close. Because I believed in what they were trying to do. Victoria was still staring at the papers. Her hands were shaking now. Thomas looked at her, then back at me. Victoria, Mom helped save your company. She's the reason it still exists. She shook her head slowly. No, that's not. It's true, I said firmly. You work at a company I funded. You got hired at a company I saved. You got promoted at a company I made possible. And you told me I contribute nothing. The room went completely silent. You could hear the clock ticking. You could hear the refrigerator humming. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Victoria's face was red now. Her hands were still shaking badly. Why didn't you tell me? She whispered. Because I didn't do it for recognition, I said. I didn't do it for thanks. I did it to help people. To give them opportunities. To make a difference quietly. Like the one you have now. She looked down at the papers again. Her eyes were filling with tears. Thomas looked at her seriously. You owe my mother an apology, he said. His voice was firm now, finally firm. Victoria didn't respond immediately. She just stared at the table. Victoria, Thomas said again. She looked up slowly. Tears were running down her face. I'm sorry, she whispered, but it didn't sound real. It sounded forced and hollow, like she was just saying words. I stood there watching her. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no victory, just emptiness. That night I stayed in my room. I heard them arguing loudly through the walls. Victoria was crying hysterically. Thomas was yelling angrily. I couldn't make out most of the words, but I heard enough. How could you treat her like that? I didn't know. That doesn't matter. She's been nothing but kind to you. Their voices went on for hours. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. So tired. The next morning there was a knock on my door. I opened it slowly. Victoria stood there alone. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her face was blotchy from crying. Can I come in? She asked quietly. Yes, I said. She sat on the edge of my bed carefully. I sat in the chair across from her. We were silent for a moment. I'm sorry, she said again. This time her voice sounded different. I've been awful to you. Truly awful. Yes, you have, I said. I wasn't going to make this easy. I don't know why I did it, she said. Her voice cracked with emotion. I think I was jealous. Jealous? I asked. Of what exactly? Of how much Thomas loves you. I didn't expect that at all. He talks about you all the time, she continued. How strong you are. How you raised him alone. How much you sacrificed. How you held everything together after his dad died. I felt like I could never measure up, like I could never be enough for him. Because you already were everything. I sat there listening. I understood her words, but I didn't accept them. That's not an excuse, Victoria, I said gently but firmly. I know, she whispered. It's not. Nothing excuses how I treated you. You made me feel worthless, I said. In my own son's house. You made me feel like I didn't belong anywhere. She was crying again now. I'm so sorry, Eleanor. I truly am. I want to do better. I want to be better. I looked at her carefully. She looked broken and small. Maybe she meant it. Maybe she didn't. Only time would tell. Words are easy, Victoria, I said. Actions are what matter. I know, she said. I'll prove it to you. I promise. Over the next few weeks, things changed slowly. Victoria stopped making cutting comments. She started helping with chores without being asked. She thanked me when I cooked dinner. She even asked me about my day sometimes. It felt strange at first, almost uncomfortable. I didn't trust it completely, but slowly it started to feel real. She would sit with me in the evenings. We would talk about small things. The weather, a show on TV. Nothing deep. But it was something. Thomas noticed the change too. Thank you, Mom, he said one night. For what? I asked. For giving her another chance. Everyone deserves a chance, Thomas, I said. Even people who hurt us. But only if they're willing to change. One evening, Victoria came to me with her laptop. Eleanor, I need to tell you something, she said. She looked nervous. What is it? I asked. I called my boss today. Okay. I told him about your donation. My heart stopped completely. You what? I told him the truth, she said quickly. I said my mother-in-law was the anonymous donor, the one who saved the company. I felt panic rising fast. Why would you do that, Victoria? Because you deserve credit, she said. You deserve recognition. I didn't want credit, I said firmly. That's why I did it anonymously. I know, she replied. But they want to thank you. They want to honor you. I don't want to be honored. Please, Eleanor, she said. Let them do this. Let people see what you did. I was quiet for a long moment. Part of me was angry. She had exposed my secret, but part of me understood. Maybe it was time. Maybe hiding wasn't serving anyone anymore. A week later, I received a letter. It came in a fancy envelope from Bright Horizon Group. I opened it with shaking hands. It was an invitation to a special company event. They wanted to honor me publicly. They wanted to thank me. I didn't want to go. I really didn't. But Victoria insisted. Thomas insisted too. Even Patricia insisted when I told her. You should go, Eleanor, she said. You should let them thank you. You've hidden long enough. So I agreed finally. The event was held at their office. It was small and intimate, just the company leaders, and about 20 employees. Victoria stood beside me the whole time. She held my hand. The CEO stood at the front. His name was Marcus. He was young, maybe 40. He gave a speech. 3 years ago, we almost closed, he said. We were out of money completely, out of hope, out of options. We had 5 employees, 5 people who believed in this dream. But belief doesn't pay bills. Belief doesn't keep the lights on. We were days away from shutting down forever. But someone believed in us. Someone we never met. Someone who asked for nothing in return. Someone who gave us a chance. He looked directly at me. His eyes were filled with emotion. Eleanor, you saved this company. You saved dozens of jobs. You saved people's livelihoods. You saved dreams, including Victoria's. Everyone clapped loudly. Some people were crying. I felt tears in my own eyes. Not because of the praise, but because it finally felt real. What I did mattered. It truly mattered. Marcus handed me a framed certificate. Thank you, he said, from all of us. I took it with shaking hands. You're welcome, I whispered. After the ceremony, people came to talk to me. They thanked me one by one. They told me their stories, how the company changed their lives, how grateful they were. One woman hugged me tight. You saved my family, she said. I was about to lose my house. This job saved me. I hugged her back. I couldn't speak. I was too emotional. After the event, Victoria hugged me tight, tighter than ever before. Thank you, she whispered in my ear, for everything, for believing in the company, for believing in me, even when I didn't deserve it. I hugged her back. You're welcome, Victoria. We drove home together in silence, but it was a comfortable silence, not the heavy kind, the peaceful kind. Things aren't perfect now. I won't lie and say they are. Victoria still has her moments sometimes. She gets stressed and snaps occasionally, but she catches herself now. She apologizes immediately. And she tries. She really tries. And that's enough for me. Thomas is happier too. He doesn't have to choose sides anymore. He doesn't have to pretend everything is fine. He can just be. I still live with them. But it feels different now. I'm not invisible anymore. I'm not a burden. I'm not just taking up space. I'm family. Real family. We eat dinner together now, all three of us. We talk and laugh. Sometimes we even play board games. It feels normal. It feels right. Patricia came over last week. You look different, Eleanor, she said. Different how? I asked. Lighter, she said, like a weight lifted off. She was right. I did feel lighter. For the first time in months, I felt free. Looking back, I let someone make me feel small. I accepted treatment I didn't deserve, but I wasn't small. I never was. I just forgot. If you're reading this or listening to this, listen carefully. If someone makes you feel worthless, speak up. Don't wait like I did. Don't suffer in silence. Your voice matters deeply. Your story matters. You matter. Don't ever forget that. I also learned something else. Something beautiful. Kindness doesn't always get noticed, but it always leaves a mark. I helped people I never met. I changed lives I never saw. I gave without expecting anything back, and one day it came back to me. Not in the way I expected, but in the way I needed most. Victoria told me something last week that stuck with me. We were sitting on the porch together, watching the sunset. I used to think you were weak, she said quietly. I looked at her. But you're the strongest person I know. Stronger than anyone I've ever met. I smiled. Strength isn't always loud, Victoria, I said. Sometimes it's just staying kind, even when the world isn't kind back. Sometimes it's just getting up every day, even when you don't want to. She nodded. I'm still learning that, she said. We all are, I replied. So here's my final message to you, wherever you are right now. Whatever you're going through, don't let anyone dim your light. Don't let anyone tell you you're nothing, because you're not. You're everything. To someone, somewhere, maybe to someone you haven't even met yet. I was told I contributed nothing, but I contributed everything. I just did it quietly. And that's okay. That's more than okay, because real impact doesn't need applause. It doesn't need recognition. It just needs heart. It just needs love. It just needs someone who cares. My daughter-in-law called me worthless. She said I contributed nothing. Then she learned the truth. The job she loved, the promotion she celebrated, the company she worked for, the future she was building, I made it all possible, and I never said a word. Not for months. Not until I had to. Not until I couldn't stay silent anymore. Sometimes the people who give the most are the ones who say the least. Sometimes the strongest people are the ones who cry alone. Sometimes the bravest people are the ones who stay. Even when leaving would be easier. I stayed. I spoke up. I stood my ground. And everything changed. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. If this story touched you in any way, share it. If you've lived something similar, speak up. If you know someone who needs to hear this, send it to them. Don't stay silent. Don't let anyone make you invisible. You are seen. You are heard. You are valued. You are enough. You are more than enough. What would you have done in my place? Would you have spoken up sooner? Would you have stayed quiet? Would you have left? I'd love to know. Leave a comment below. Share your thoughts. Share your story. And remember this always. Kindness is never wasted. Love is never wasted. Giving is never wasted. Even when it feels like nobody notices. Even when it feels like nobody cares, someone does. Someone will, someday,